I'm Greg Jarboe with the SES channel, and we're here with Matt Cutts.
Hey, good to be here.
And Matt, you were on a panel today and you shared a story about your job interview at Google. Why don't you share it with the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I had done a couple phone interviews, and so I flew out to interview at Google. And at the time, Google was one building, and in fact, it was the top floor of one building, and in fact, it was one half of the top floor of one building. And so I walked in behind a couple other people, and I couldn't find where Google was, so I followed them upstairs. And as I was going upstairs, the two people, sort of lean in and say, they don't even have a lobby. How are we supposed to take this company seriously, So the lobby was like one lady in front of a door on some sawhorses. And yeah, had a full day of interviewing things. I remember somebody asking how my Unix Kung Fu was. I said my Unix Kung Fu is strong. And just, it was a lot of fun. Afterwards, I really wanted to work there, and so I'm glad it worked out.
Well, flash forward many years, and here we are at Search Engine Strategies San Jose.
Yeah.
And you talked about some of the trends in the industry. Why don't you share some of the key ones you see?
Yeah, there were a lot of interesting ones that came up. It was a great panel. Yeah, you had Robert Scoble, Danny Sullivan, a ton of different people. And so people were talking about mobile. For example, you've got 3 billion handsets and only, 1.25 billion PCs. And at the point where your phone has got GPS built in, there's so many opportunities there. Danny talked about how you can do urban spoon optimization, not just search engine optimization. You want to show up on urban spoon when you're shaking it, right? And hyperlocal, the ability to be right in there knowing when somebody's in the area and able to market to them or make them aware of an opportunity is really interesting. And then at the very end, I mentioned a few things like cloud storage servers. So, all my data is in the cloud. It happens to be in the Google Cloud, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's not on your PC. If I drop my laptop onto the floor right here and it broke completely, I wouldn't lose my email, my calendar, my Google Reader, anything at all. And I think that's really powerful. So the sort of people, even people who are Google critics, I talk to them and they say, yeah, I still run Google Apps, which is great because we take privacy incredibly seriously, so it's not like people have to worry about that. And yes, you will have occasional outages, that's inevitable, but it's still much better and much easier than trying to manage everything yourself. And so we put a lot of time trying to make sure that things are secure and convenient and it's a good value for people. And then one of the final trends, which I thought was really interesting, is that it's easier than ever to do a startup. I mean, $6 for a .com domain name, and then even the hosting. You could run it on Google App Engine, you could make a Facebook thing, you can make startups on iPhones, Android, OpenSocial. There's so many different places where if you see a good opportunity, you can dive right in. And if you take somebody like Barry Schwartz, he's not here, but he's been working on an iPhone app that's, different prayers and stuff. And he's just like cranking it out along with some friends that he works with, and he's going to sell it for $10. And it may be like the premier application for that little niche on the iPhone, and still enough where he can make good money on it. And so there's so many different opportunities. I think there's more opportunities now than there may have ever been on the web. So there's a lot of neat stuff to do.
And I've got to end with, we're sitting on the edge of a stage because this was sort of a happening place. And can you talk about the phenomena of coming down to the edge of the stage and talking to people and having them ask you questions?
Yeah, well, that's part of the most fun, is meeting regular SEOs, regular people at search conferences. And so it's always a hoot to do a panel, and then it's always really interesting to talk to people afterwards and hear their questions about, well, I want to move all my URLs around, and I want to talk about, what does this situation mean for me? And so it's great for me because sometimes they stump me and I have to go back and find out what the real answer is, and sometimes I can help them out, and either way it's a lot of fun.
Well, there you have it. Matt Cutts here at Search Engine Strategy San Jose. And Matt, thank you very much.
Yeah, very nice talking to you.
Great.
All right, take care.
Ciao.